Blood dripped from Mason Hartley's nose onto the pristine cafeteria floor. The most feared student at Westfield Academy was on his knees, gasping, tears streaming down his face. 300 phones captured every second as Rebecca Lawson, the 5'4" history teacher everyone called Baby Teacher, stood over him in a perfect defensive stance. "She just destroyed him," someone whispered. But to understand how a first-year teacher brought down a criminal empire that controlled 23 of Connecticut's elite prep schools, we need to go back 3 weeks. The morning Rebecca Lawson pulled into Westfield Academy's parking lot, she counted 17 luxury cars worth more than most people's houses. Mercedes, Bentley, Tesla. The September sun gleamed off their perfect paint jobs like a warning. This wasn't just any school. This was where the 1% sent their children to become the next generation of untouchables. She checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. Brown hair in a neat bun, minimal makeup, conservative blouse. Everything screamed harmless new teacher. Perfect. Her phone buzzed. A text from Thompson. "Remember, observe, report. Do not engage unless absolutely necessary." Rebecca typed back, "Copy that." But she was already lying. The hallways of Westfield Academy felt more like a Fortune 500 boardroom than a high school. Marble floors, oil paintings of dead white men who'd donated millions, students who moved with the practiced arrogance of people who'd never heard the word no. "You must be Miss Lawson." Principal Catherine Morse's handshake was firm, but her smile never reached her eyes. "Welcome to Westfield. I'm sure you'll find our students exceptional." The way she said exceptional made Rebecca's instincts prickle. This woman was scared. "Of what, thank you?" "Principal Morse, I'm excited to—" "Just remember," Morse interrupted, lowering her voice. "These students come from very influential families. Sometimes it's best to pick your battles carefully." Translation: "Don't rock the boat." Rebecca smiled sweetly. "Of course, I understand completely." Another lie. Her first class was AP U.S. History. 22 students, each worth more than some small nation's GDP. They barely looked up when she entered. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Miss Lawson." And the door slammed open. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Every student straightened in their seats. Some actually flinched. Mason Hartley walked in like he owned the building. 6'2", jaw sharp enough to cut glass, eyes that belonged on a shark. He didn't hurry, didn't apologize. Just strolled to a seat in the back, his Rolex catching the light. "Mr. Hartley, I presume," Rebecca kept her voice neutral, "you're 7 minutes late." He looked at her like she was something on his shoe. "Traffic." "I see. Well, in my class—" "In your class," Mason interrupted, his voice smooth as poisoned honey. "You'll learn that some rules are more flexible than others. Right. Everyone." Nervous laughter rippled through the room. One girl, Madison Chen, looked like she might cry. Rebecca felt her father's voice in her head. "Never let them see you sweat. Becca, the moment they smell fear, you're done." She walked to the board, picked up a marker, and without looking back said, "Mr. Hartley, since you're so interested in flexibility, you can write a 3,000-word essay on the inflexibility of constitutional law. Due tomorrow." Silence. She turned around. Mason's mask had slipped for just a second. She saw what lurked underneath. It wasn't anger, it was curiosity, like a predator who'd just discovered something interesting in its territory. "Of course, Miss Lawson." His smile was all teeth. "I look forward to educating you about how things work here, when the threat hung in the air like smoke. After class, Madison Chen lingered by Rebecca's desk, fidgeting with her designer backpack. "Miss Lawson, can I talk to you?" "Of course." "Madison, what's on your mind?" The girl glanced at the door, then whispered, "You need to be careful. Mason, he's not like other students." "What do you mean?" "Just the last teacher who crossed him." Madison's voice cracked. "She didn't last 3 weeks. They found her car at the bottom of Riverside Bridge. Police said it was suicide, but you don't believe that." Madison shook her head. "Jessica loved teaching. She was going to get married. She wouldn't." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Please, just give him what he wants. It's safer." Rebecca handed her a tissue. "Madison, if someone's threatening you—" "No." The girl backed away. "I didn't say anything. I have to go." She practically ran from the room. Rebecca sat alone in the empty classroom. Processing. A teacher dead. Students terrified. A principal giving warnings wrapped in welcomes. And Mason Hartley at the center of it all. Her phone buzzed. Thompson again. Status report. She typed, "Making contact. Something's definitely wrong here." "Wrong how?" "Still determining. Will update soon." She deleted the conversation and pulled up the file on her phone. Jessica Martinez, 28. First-year teacher. Found dead 3 months ago. Official cause, suicide. Unofficial rumors she'd discovered something she shouldn't have. Rebecca's father had died protecting children in Afghanistan. She'd become FBI to continue his mission in a different battlefield. And right now, her gut told her Westfield Academy was a war zone dressed in privilege and politeness. The next day, Mason tested her. He walked in 5 minutes late again, this time texting openly. The screen's glow illuminated his smirk. "Mr. Hartley, phone away, please." He didn't even look up. "Almost done." "Now." "I said." His fingers kept moving. "Almost done." Rebecca watched the other students. They were holding their breath. This was it. The moment that would define her entire tenure at Westfield. She walked down the aisle, slow and deliberate. Mason's thumb hovered over send. The message preview was visible. "Transfer $5K by tonight, or the video goes to your parents. You know which one." Rebecca's blood turned to ice, but her hand stayed steady as she plucked the phone from his grip. "Hey!" Mason shot to his feet, for the first time. His mask completely fell. "You have no idea what you just did. I confiscated a phone from a student who refused to follow basic classroom rules." She slipped it into her pocket. "You can collect it from Principal Morse at the end of the day." "You stupid!" He caught himself. The mask slid back on, but his eyes promised violence. "Of course, Miss Lawson, my mistake." He sat down. The room exhaled, but Rebecca had seen the message. $5,000. Blackmail. And every student in this room looked terrified. What the hell was happening at Westfield Academy? She didn't make it to lunch before Principal Morse summoned her. "Rebecca, we need to talk." Morse's hands were shaking, actually shaking. "About Mr. Hartley's phone. He was using it in class. Policy is clear. Give it back." The words came out strangled. "Please, you don't understand what you're dealing with." "Then explain it to me." Morse looked around her office like the walls had ears. Maybe they did. "Mason Hartley isn't just a student. His father runs things. His uncle is a federal judge. His connections go all the way to—" She stopped. Just give back the phone, for your own safety. Catherine, Rebecca used her first name deliberately. What does Mason have on you? The principal's face went white. I have 2 daughters, 11 and 13. Please, give back the phone. Rebecca pulled out the device. Morse practically lunged for it. Thank you, she whispered. And Rebecca, maybe consider whether this job is really right for you. Westfield can be challenging for new teachers. Translation, run while you can. Rebecca left the office with her mind racing. A student running a blackmail operation. A principal too terrified to act. How deep did this go? Her answer came that afternoon. Her car looked like a murder scene. Every window shattered, tires slashed, and carved into the hood in jagged letters, "Know your place, bitch." Security footage corrupted. Witnesses, nobody saw anything. Campus police, probably vandals from town. These things happen. Rebecca stood in the parking lot, glass crunching under her feet, and smiled. They'd just made a crucial mistake. They'd shown their hand too early. Her phone rang. Thompson. Heard you had some car trouble. News travels fast. Local police scanner. You okay? Fine. They're escalating quickly. Means I'm close to something. Or it means you're about to become another Jessica Martinez. I'm pulling you out. No. Rebecca watched a janitor sweep up glass while avoiding eye contact. Sir, with all due respect, these kids need help. I'm staying. This isn't a democracy, Agent Lawson. Then court-martial me, sir. She hung up. That night, she found the dead rat in her desk drawer. The smell hit her first. Sweet, cloying, wrong. She used a pencil to lift the note tied to its tail. Next time won't be a rat. Creative? She'd give them that. Rebecca bagged the evidence, though she knew it wouldn't matter. No fingerprints, no cameras, no witnesses. The Brotherhood, she'd started thinking of them as that were smart, careful, organized. But they'd made another mistake. They'd given her a timeline. Next time meant they were planning something bigger. She spent the weekend doing what she did best, hunting. The private investigator cost her 3 months' salary, but delivered results. The Brotherhood wasn't just Mason's pet project. It was a network. 23 schools, 200 confirmed victims, extortion, blackmail, sexual assault videos used as leverage. All hidden behind privilege and power. The financial trail led to offshore accounts in the Caymans. The digital footprint pointed to sophisticated tech, probably custom-built. And at the center of it all, Mason Hartley, heir to a criminal empire his imprisoned father had built from behind bars. Sunday night, she got a call from an unknown number. Miss Lawson, a young male voice, scared. This is Jaden Walsh, from your 3rd period. Jaden, what's wrong? I need help. They're making me do things, computer things. I built their system, but now, his voice broke. My friend Kevin tried to get out. They said he jumped off a parking garage. He didn't jump. Miss Lawson, he didn't jump. Where are you? Starbucks on Main, please. I can't do this anymore. Stay there, I'm coming. But when she arrived, Jaden was gone. The barista said he'd left in a hurry after getting a text. Security footage showed Mason's car in the parking lot. Monday morning brought a new horror. Oh my God, is that Miss Lawson? Holy shit, she's hot. Yo, send me that link. The deepfake pornography was expertly made. Her face seamlessly attached to explicit videos. By 9 a.m., every student at Westfield had seen it. By 10, parents were calling for her termination. Mason sat in her first period, concern painted on his face like makeup. "Miss Lawson, I want you to know that I find this absolutely disgusting. Whoever did this should be expelled." His performance was Oscar-worthy. Other students nodded along, too scared to show they knew the truth. "Thank you for your concern, Mr. Hartley," Rebecca said calmly. "Now, let's discuss the rise of fascism in 1930s Europe, particularly how small groups gained power through fear and intimidation." His eye twitched. Just once, but she saw it. That afternoon, she found cameras in her apartment, tiny, expensive, hidden in smoke detectors and air vents. How long had they been watching? How much did they know she left them in place? Let them watch. She had nothing to hide, but she called Thompson. "I need backup." "Finally came to your senses." "No, I need a surveillance team. These kids are running something bigger than just high school bullying. We're looking at organized crime." "Jesus Christ, Rebecca, how deep are you?" "Deep enough to know that if we don't stop this now, more kids are going to die." The silence stretched. Finally, "I'll see what I can do, but you're walking a thin line." "Story of my life, sir." Tuesday brought orchestrated accidents. A student tripped her in the hallway. Someone else spilled coffee on her graded papers. Small humiliations designed to break her spirit. Wednesday was brake lines. She'd checked her car every morning since the vandalism. Good thing, too. The cut was professional, designed to fail at high speed. One more suicidal teacher off a bridge. She documented everything and took the bus. Thursday was the SWAT raid. Nobody move. 20 officers stormed her classroom, weapons drawn. Students screamed. Mason watched with satisfied eyes as they searched her desk, her bag, her person. Anonymous tip about a weapon. The lead officer explained later, after finding nothing. "Sorry for the disruption." But the damage was done. Parents were panicking. The school board was meeting in emergency session. Mason had played his cards perfectly, except for Jaden Walsh. Friday afternoon, as Rebecca packed what might be her last boxes. Her door creaked open. Jaden slipped in, looking like death warmed over. His left eye was swollen shut. His hands shook as he pulled out a hard drive. "I can't anymore," he whispered. "They made me help destroy people. Good people. Like Jessica. Like you." He put the drive on her desk. 3 terabytes. Everything. Videos, financials, communications, even their murder planning. "Jaden, Mason found out I talked to you. This was a warning." He laughed bitterly. "I'm their IT guy. I built their whole system. Encrypted communications, hidden servers, the works. I thought I was just helping them cheat on tests. Then it got darker and darker. And now, we can protect you." "No, you can't. Nobody can." Mason's father runs half the criminal operations on the East Coast from federal prison. His reach it's everywhere. "Then why are you here?" "Because Kevin was my best friend. Because Jessica Martinez taught me to love history. Because if I don't do something, I'll be just as guilty as them." He stood up. "The authentication codes are in a file called Homework. Everything's there, even which FBI agents they've compromised." Rebecca's blood chilled. "They have people inside. How do you think they've operated this long, Miss Lawson? You need to—" The door burst open. Mason stood there with 5 other Brotherhood members. His smile was all predator now. "Jaden, Jaden, Jaden." He shook his head. "And here I thought we were friends." Jaden bolted for the window. They caught him before he made it 3 feet. "Let him go," Rebecca commanded. "Or what?" Mason stepped closer. "You'll give me detention. Face it. Teach, you lost. By Monday, you'll be fired, disgraced, and probably in jail for the kiddie porn we're about to plant on your devices." "Actually," Rebecca said, pulling out her badge, "you're under arrest." For one beautiful moment, Mason's face went blank. Then he laughed. "Nice try. But I know every FBI agent in the state. You're bluffing." And she showed him her credentials. Special Agent Rebecca Lawson, FBI Organized Crime Division. "You were saying," but Mason recovered quickly. Too quickly. "Doesn't matter. You've got nothing admissible. And Jaden here is about to have a tragic accident." They dragged Jaden toward the door. He fought, screaming. Other teachers peeked out of classrooms but quickly retreated. "You have 24 hours, Mason called over his shoulder. "Turn over everything Jaden gave you, resign, and leave the state. Or tomorrow, we broadcast what happens to people who don't know their place." The door slammed. Rebecca stood in her empty classroom, mind racing. The hard drive felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. 3 terabytes of evidence, FBI moles, a criminal network spanning multiple states, and Jaden Walsh about to become another suicide statistic. Her phone buzzed. A video message. They'd beaten Jaden unconscious and tied him to a chair in what looked like a warehouse. Mason's voice came through clear. 24 hours, Agent Lawson. Or we start removing pieces. Wonder how good an IT guy is without fingers." The video ended with Jaden's scream. Rebecca had been in firefights in Afghanistan. She'd faced down serial killers and mob bosses. But something about Mason Hartley chilled her to the bone. He wasn't driven by money or power or even sadism. He simply enjoyed destroying people. Like father, like son. She copied the hard drive contents to 3 secure servers. Then called Thompson. "I need a strike team, now." "Rebecca? What?" "Check your email. I just sent you everything. Financial crimes, murder conspiracies, and a list of corrupted agents. We have 23 hours to save a kid's life and take down the largest youth criminal organization in the country." Jesus, how many suspects? 47 primary targets across 6 states. "But sir, Mason has someone inside. They knew I was coming before I did." "I'll handle that. You sit tight." "Can't do that, sir. They have Jaden." "Absolutely not. You wait for backup. With all due respect, sir. They're torturing a 17-year-old kid because he tried to do the right thing. I'm not waiting for bureaucracy while they mail him back in pieces." She hung up and checked her father's old go-bag. Pistol, taser, zip ties, first aid. Everything a girl needed for a night out in Connecticut. Time to remind Mason Hartley why you don't grab a tiger's tail. The warehouse district looked like a cemetery for industrial dreams. Abandoned buildings stretched into darkness. Windows broken like dead eyes. Rebecca parked 6 blocks away and approached on foot. The Brotherhood might be tech-savvy teenage sociopaths, but they were still teenagers. Their security was lazy. 2 lookouts playing on their phones instead of watching. Guards who smoked weed on shift. Cameras that covered the obvious entrances but missed the service ladders. Rebecca had infiltrated Taliban compounds with better security. She climbed to the roof, years of training making her silent as smoke. Through a skylight, she counted 6 Brotherhood members plus Mason. Jaden was still tied to the chair, blood dripping from fresh cuts. "You know what I love about this," Mason was saying, holding a knife. "It's not the pain. It's the hope. Right now. Little Jaden still thinks someone's coming to save him. That FBI bitch? Maybe. or the cops, or fucking Batman. He laughed. But nobody's coming, because nobody cares about snitches. He cut another line across Jaden's chest. The boy screamed through his gag. Rebecca had seen enough. She dropped through the skylight like vengeance in sensible shoes. The skylight shattered like her patience. Glass rained down as Rebecca landed in a perfect crouch. Her father's training flowing through muscle memory. 6 pairs of eyes turned to her in shock. For one beautiful second. Nobody moved. Then chaos erupted. "Get her!" Mason screamed, pointing with the bloody knife. The first attacker rushed forward, all muscle and no technique. Rebecca sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, and used his momentum to send him face first into a concrete pillar. The crack of his nose breaking echoed through the warehouse. 2 more came at her simultaneously. She dropped low, swept the legs of the first, then drove her elbow into the second one's solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping. She grabbed his head and introduced his face to her knee. "Down. Shoot her." Mason's voice cracked with rage. One of them pulled a gun. Amateur move. Rebecca rolled behind a crate as bullets sparked off concrete. She counted shots. 9mm, standard magazine. He'd panic and empty it. Sure enough, click, click, click. Empty. She came up running, closing the distance before he could reload. Her palm strike caught him in the throat. He dropped the gun, clutching his windpipe. She spun, grabbed the weapon, and threw it into the shadows. 4 down, 2 to go, plus Mason. The remaining 2 had learned. They circled her carefully, one pulling out a knife, the other a crowbar. These ones had training, military stance, calculated movements. "Private security?" Rebecca asked, not even breathing hard. "Let me guess. Daddy hired you to babysit his sociopath son." The one with the crowbar lunged. She leaned back, the metal whistling past her face. The knife user tried to capitalize, slashing at her ribs. She trapped his arm, broke his elbow with a sharp twist, then used him as a shield when crowbar came back for another swing. The sound of metal on skull made everyone wince. Crowbar hesitated, horrified at hitting his partner. Rebecca didn't. She flowed around the falling body, got inside his reach, and delivered a combination that would have made her father proud. Liver shot, solar plexus, throat, temple. He was unconscious before he hit the ground. That left Mason. He stood behind Jaden, knife pressed to the boy's throat. One more step, and I open his jugular. Rebecca stopped, analyzed. Mason's hand was shaking. Sweat dripped down his face. This wasn't part of his plan. He was used to other people doing the violence. "You know what your problem is, Mason." She took a slow step forward. "You've never been in a real fight. You've never felt real consequences. I said stop." He pressed harder. A line of blood appeared on Jaden's neck. "Your daddy might run crime from prison, but he never taught you the most important lesson." Another step. "Everyone bleeds. I'll kill him." "No, you won't." Rebecca smiled. "Because you're a coward. You get others to do your dirty work. You hide behind money and connections. But right now, it's just you and me, and we both know how this ends." Mason's eyes darted around, looking for help that wasn't coming. His hand shook more. The knife wavered. That's when Jaden made his move, despite being tied up and tortured. The kid had been watching, learning. He threw his head back, catching Mason in the nose. Mason screamed, staggering backward. The knife clattered away. Rebecca closed the distance in 2 strides, Mason swung wildly. She caught his fist, twisted, and drove her elbow into his ribs. The crack was audible. He dropped, gasping. "That's for Jessica Martinez." She zip-tied his hands. "And this is for every kid you've hurt." She left him crying on the floor and rushed to Jaden. The cuts were superficial but numerous. Psychological torture more than physical damage. "You're okay," she said, cutting his bonds. "You're safe now." He was going to—" Jaden collapsed against her, sobbing. "I know, but you were brave. You saved yourself with that headbutt." "Is he really going to jail?" Rebecca looked at Mason writhing on the floor. "Oh, he's going away for a very long time. They all are." Sirens wailed in the distance. Thompson had come through, as red and blue lights flooded the warehouse. Rebecca held Jaden and let him cry. Sometimes the hardest part of being strong was knowing when to be soft. The weekend was a blur of debriefings, evidence processing, and coordinated raids. 47 arrests across 6 states. The Brotherhood's network collapsed like dominoes. Offshore accounts frozen. Victims coming forward by the dozens, but Mason made bail. His lawyer was sharp, claimed kidnapping, coercion, entrapment. The video evidence was inadmissible. The financial trails were circumstantial, and Rebecca's undercover status compromised the investigation's integrity. Sunday night, she got a text from an unknown number. "See you at school tomorrow. Can't wait for lunch." Monday morning. Westfield Academy buzzed with rumors. Half the students thought Mason was finished. The other half believed his family's money would save him again. The parking lot was full of news vans and FBI surveillance. Rebecca arrived early, wearing her badge openly now. No more pretending. Principal Morse met her at the entrance. "Agent Lawson, given the circumstances, perhaps it would be better if—" "I'm still a teacher here, Catherine. My cover's blown, but these kids still need someone they can trust." "Mason's here. His lawyer got an emergency injunction. He can attend classes until the trial." "I know," Rebecca smiled grimly. "He wants a show. Let's give him one." First period came and went. Mason's seat was empty. Second period. Same thing. But Rebecca could feel it building. The anticipation. The whole school holding its breath. Third period. Still nothing. Then came lunch. The cafeteria was packed. 300 students, all sensing something big was coming. Rebecca sat at the teacher's table, eating a salad, projecting calm while her nerves sang combat songs. The doors burst open. Mason walked in like a conquering hero. He'd brought an audience, 20 Brotherhood members who'd made bail, including some from other schools. They moved like a pack, taking over the center of the cafeteria. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mason's voice boomed. He was wearing a wire. She realized. Recording everything. "I have an announcement." The cafeteria went silent. "As you know, there's been some misunderstanding about my organization. Lies spread by a corrupt federal agent who entrapped innocent students." He turned to Rebecca. "Isn't that right? Agent Lawson, or should I say, Miss Lawson, hard to keep your lies straight." Rebecca took another bite of salad. "Nothing to say." Mason stepped closer. "Come on. Tell everyone how you pretended to care about them, how you recorded their private conversations, how you violated their trust." Students shifted uncomfortably. Some of his words were hitting home. She had lied to them. She had been recording. The complexity of undercover work didn't translate well to teenage black and white thinking. "Still nothing." Mason was at her table now. "Let me help you find your voice." He grabbed her hair from behind, yanking her head back. Gasps echoed through the cafeteria. Someone screamed. "I said, kneel, bitch!" His mask was completely gone now. The real Mason Hartley was on full display. "You think you beat me? My family owns judges, owns cops, owns this whole fucking state. You're nothing. Your 8 years of muscle memory took over." Rebecca's elbow drove backward into his ribs, the same ribs she'd cracked in the warehouse. He screamed, releasing her hair. She flowed to her feet, spun, and delivered a palm strike to his already broken nose. Blood exploded across his face. He staggered backward, hit a table, and went down hard. This time, he didn't get up, just lay there, crying, bleeding, broken. The cafeteria erupted, students on their feet, phones out. Someone started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room was applauding, cheering, some crying, but Rebecca wasn't done. She pulled out her phone, connected it to the cafeteria's AV system. "You want truth. Mason, let's have truth." The screens lit up with footage from the warehouse. Mason torturing Jaden. Mason confessing to Jessica's murder. Mason listing every crime, every victim, every parent and official they'd corrupted. "That's inadmissible," Mason shrieked from the floor. "In court, maybe." Rebecca smiled. "But the court of public opinion has different rules." The Brotherhood members tried to run. They found FBI agents at every exit. Thompson had been busy. "Mason Hartley," Rebecca said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're under arrest, again, this time for assault on a federal officer, on camera, in front of 300 witnesses." She looked at his recording device. "Thanks for the evidence." As they cuffed him, Mason kept screaming, "Do you know who my father is? Do you know what he'll do to you? Your father's about to have company. We raided his cell an hour ago. Found the phones, the contact lists, everything. His empire's done, and so are you." They dragged him out, still screaming threats that sounded more like the tantrums they were. The cafeteria stayed silent for a long moment. Then Madison Chen stood up. "Agent Lawson, Miss Lawson, I just wanted to say thank you for Jessica, for all of us." Others joined in, stories pouring out. The harassment, the blackmail, the fear they'd lived under, for the first time in years. Westfield Academy students felt safe enough to speak truth. Later, in the empty classroom where it all started, Rebecca found a note on her desk. "Thank you for keeping your promise, J.W." She smiled. Jaden was in protective custody, already accepted early admission to MIT. He'd be okay. They all would be. Her phone rang. "Thompson, hell of a thing you did." "Rebecca, 47 convictions looking likely. The biggest youth criminal bust in FBI history." "Just doing the job, sir. You could have your pick of assignments now. Organized crime in New York, counterterrorism in D.C., name it." Rebecca looked around the classroom, at the essays still waiting to be graded, at the lessons still to be taught. "Actually, sir, I think I'll finish the school year. These kids have been through enough upheaval." "You're serious? You want to keep teaching? My father protected children overseas. Turns out, some battles are fought in classrooms too." 6 months later. Rebecca stood before a very different class. Same room, but the energy had transformed. Students engaged, asking questions, unafraid. Today, we're discussing the importance of speaking truth to power, she began. Can anyone give me a historical example? Hands shot up. Real participation. Not the terrified silence of before. On her desk was a photo, her and her father at the base gym, both in boxing stance, both grinning. He would have been proud. Mason Hartley got 25 years. His father got life. The Brotherhood dissolved. Its victims compensated from seized assets. Principal Morse granted immunity for her testimony, implemented the strictest anti-bullying policies in the state. But the real victory was smaller, quieter. It was Madison Chen running for student president. It was former Brotherhood members in therapy, learning healthier ways to exist. It was Jaden Walsh sending her updates from college, thriving and free. Miss Lawson, a student raised her hand. Were you scared when Mason grabbed you? Rebecca considered the question. Fear is natural, but courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right despite the fear. My mom says you're a hero. No. Rebecca shook her head. The heroes are the students who spoke up, who testified, who refused to let fear win. I just did my job. The bell rang. Students filed out, chattering about weekend plans, normal teenage concerns, beautiful in their ordinariness. Rebecca's phone buzzed. A text from Thompson. New case in Chicago. Teenage trafficking ring. Interested. She looked at her students, at her classroom, at the place where she'd made a difference. She typed back, "Send me the file, summer vacation starts in 6 weeks." Because some battles were fought in classrooms, but others were fought in the shadows. And Rebecca Lawson was ready for both. The last student left. Rebecca sat at her desk, grading papers, planning lessons. Just another teacher in just another school. Except for the badge in her drawer, and the skills in her bones, and the knowledge that sometimes one person standing up to evil was all it took to change everything. Her father's voice echoed in her memory, "Evil thrives when good people stay silent." Rebecca smiled and kept grading. She wasn't silent. Not anymore. And neither were her students. And somewhere in Connecticut, 300 teenagers slept safely, knowing that heroes didn't always wear capes. Sometimes they wore sensible shoes and carried red pens and knew 17 different ways to disarm an attacker. Sometimes heroes taught history class. And sometimes, when necessary, they made history too. The graduation ceremony was 3 weeks away when the letter arrived. Rebecca found it slipped under her classroom door. Expensive paper with no return address. Inside, elegant handwriting that made her blood chill. "You took my son. Now I'll take everything you love." Vincent Hartley, Mason's father, still running operations from maximum security, still reaching out from behind bars like a poisonous spider. She immediately called Thompson. "We have a problem. Vincent made contact. Threatening letter. He's planning something. I'll increase surveillance. Maybe you should—" "I'm not running." Rebecca looked at her students through the window, practicing their graduation speeches. "These kids have 1 month left. I'm not abandoning them now." The attacks started small. Her car tires slashed again, dead flowers on her doorstep, photos of her students with red X marks across their faces. Vincent was more sophisticated than his son, more patient. He wanted her to feel the fear before he struck. But Rebecca had learned something from the Brotherhood takedown. Sometimes the best defense was transparency. She called a senior class meeting. "I need to be honest with you all," she began. "Mason's father has made threats. The FBI is monitoring the situation, but You deserve to know." "Are we in danger?" Madison asked, now student body president and heading to Yale. "I won't lie to you. Possibly. But we have protection. And more importantly, we have each other." The students exchanged glances. These weren't the scared children from 6 months ago. These were survivors who'd faced down their own demons. "What do you need from us?" asked Carter Williams, former Brotherhood member turned peer counselor. "Vigilance, travel in groups, report anything suspicious, and trust that the adults have your backs this time." "Like you had ours," Madison stood up. "Miss Lawson, you literally took down a crime ring for us. Whatever you need, we're here." The room nodded in agreement. Rebecca felt her throat tighten. These kids had become her family. 2 days later, Jaden Walsh called from MIT. "Miss Lawson, I've been monitoring dark web chatter. Vincent hired someone, professional. They're coming during graduation." "How do you—" "I kept back doors into the Brotherhood's old systems, old habits." He paused. "There's more. The hitter. It's not you they're after." Rebecca's blood froze. "The students." Madison Chen specifically. Vincent blames her testimony for Mason's conviction. He wants to send a message. When? Graduation day. Maximum public impact, just like his son would have wanted. Rebecca hung up and immediately called Thompson. Within hours, the FBI descended on Westfield like an invisible army. Undercover agents posed as caterers, maintenance staff, proud parents. Every entrance was covered. Every angle watched. But Rebecca knew it wouldn't be enough. Vincent Hartley had resources and rage. The graduation needed to be canceled. Principal Morse disagreed. "These students have been through hell. They deserve their moment." "Catherine, there's a credible threat. Then stop it. That's what you do, isn't it? You stop the bad guys." Morse's eyes were steel. "These kids learn to be brave from you. Don't teach them to run now." Graduation morning dawned bright and clear. Rebecca stood at her position, scanning the crowd. 3,000 people filled the football field. Families, friends, media still following the Brotherhood story. Madison Chen took the podium as valedictorian. Her speech was about courage, about standing up to darkness, about teachers who became heroes. Rebecca saw him first, a man in a maintenance uniform, moving wrong, trained walk, hand inside his jacket. She moved, flowing through the crowd like water. But she wasn't alone. Carter Williams had spotted him too. And Sarah Martinez, Jessica's sister, who'd enrolled specifically to honor her memory, and a dozen other students who'd learned to spot predators. But Rebecca knew better. It wasn't her victory. It belonged to every student who'd refused to stay silent. Every teenager who'd chosen courage over comfort. Every young soul who'd learned that heroes weren't born, they were taught. And she had more teaching to do.